welcome back for another video. So today I'm actually feeling pretty good despite the fact that I'm 40 weeks pregnant and still no baby. I don't know what it is about my womb and my kids just not wanting to leave. Like, they just have to be induced, I guess, whatever. Today we're going to take a look at this young lady who is going to give us a, look-see into pretty privilege. And I guess you could say she's unconventionally attractive, or should we say conventionally unattractive? I don't know how to say it without being rude. We'll just show her so you know what I'm talking about. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe if you're here. Leave me a comment, tell me what you think, and let's get started.
But dudes were into girls who looked exotic and with like a certain kind of body type, like slim with a big butt. If there was a small population of those who weren't into that, we didn't know because everybody went for the same kind of girl. There were those few times where a guy would step outside of, the norm. So long hair, lighter complexion, petite with a big butt and some okay size boobs, I guess. I didn't see guys going for, bigger females. And then there was a guy who I was cool with who eventually started like flirting with me and like showing, I guess, physical affection and touching on me in class and acting like, oh, when I'm single, I'm gonna start dating you. And he wasn't the only one it was a few of them who would do that. Like, oh, when I'm single, it's me and you next. And then they would be single and then they'll be with somebody new. Or when they would be single, they would pretend like they were in no way, shape, or form interested in me.
You guys know I have done a video on Pretty Privilege myself. I will link that in the description. It was made a couple years ago. So we'll go ahead and see if my thoughts have changed since then. But in reality, I can't argue with anything that she's saying. Girls that are slimmer do get more attention. And I can recognize that because when I was heavier, I didn't have any guys trying to hit on me like that. You know what I mean? But as soon as I lost the weight, then that's when, oh, you're so pretty, you're so beautiful, this isn't that. And then the fact that I was lighter skinned and had long hair or whatever, it didn't even matter. Like, I was still heavy, so nobody was really checking for me like that. I can't agree that just because you're lighter skinned or you may have long hair, that's the one thing, or that is all that you need basically to be considered attractive, because I certainly disagree with that. But I do want to say that weight, yes, 100%. And then of course just facial symmetry and just whether or not you are attractive and the way that you carry yourself, cleanliness, hygiene, clothes, certainly having your hair done or not will affect whether or not people are attracted to you. And so I guess if you're walking around with like a buzz cut and you're a girl, maybe you won't attract a whole lot of guys. Even if you are fair skinned, if you're overweight or if you don't keep yourself up, if you don't wear nice clothes and you're not clean and hygienic, you're not going to attract anybody. And not that I didn't keep myself clean and hygienic in high school. I definitely did my hair and I was clean and hygienic and I tried to dress nice for what it was worth. I just was freaking at least anywhere from like 75 to 80 pounds overweight as a teen. And so I just wasn't being checked for. You know what I mean? My lighter skin and my long hair didn't help me at all in that arena. I'm just saying.
Like, dang, like what's wrong with me where you don't want to be open and honest about how you feel about me? Like, dudes got made fun of for liking females who weren't conventionally attractive. But that would be the thing. Like, dudes would either dismiss females who weren't conventionally attractive, or they would be very like mean, but for the conventionally attractive females, dudes would be very like attentive to them. They would give them special treatment. They would actually put effort into getting to know them. Like, even adults would be nicer more so to the conventionally attractive kids than they will be to the ones who weren't.
I guess in her case, she's had scenarios in which even adults treated her differently than they did other kids. But I can say for a fact that yes, boys were more in defense of like the prettier girls, like if they got their feelings hurt in class or something like that. Because I can actually remember a scenario when I was in middle school and I wasn't really fat or anything, but I was just like larger than average at this point. I wasn't like how I was in high school when I was full blown like obese. I was just overweight. And then I had two friends. One of them was a light-skinned girl, but she wasn't, and she was skinny, but she just wasn't like facially attractive like that. And then I had a brown-skinned friend who was a good weight and she was pretty. And I remember her like being the type of person that would joke around a lot, and she would say things that would somewhat be offensive and people would just kind of laugh it off, whatever. Nobody ever really stood up for me and my light-skinned friend who were being made fun of by her. No one ever cared that she may have been saying things that were offensive to us. But then one day, me and her had kind of got her back. Like we had double teamed on her because I can't remember what she did, but she messed up on something. And then we were just like making a big joke out of it. And then she ended up crying. And do you know that like all the boys in the class were like literally catering to her, like, oh, don't worry about, Fatso and Piccolo. Piccolo being my light-skinned friend who wasn't particularly pretty, and Fatso being me, being the chunky kid. And it was just like, wait a minute. So the one day that we pick on her back, you want to defend her, but y'all be letting her rip us to pieces every day. But granted, we didn't cry. I guess that was the difference, because I could be the type of person that could dish it out and take it. Like I wasn't offended and I wasn't in school crying just because somebody said something about me, you know what I mean? But yeah, she needed some thicker skin. That's all I can say. But that was one case and scenario where I can remember that yes, boys did cater to the girls that were more conventionally attractive. And just in general in high school, like I said, like I would have situations like that where there would be boys who didn't mind flirting with me, saying things, under their breath, or when it was just the two of us and stuff like that. But when it came to who they dated, who they walked around the school with, who they kissed up at the lockers, it was those girls that were thinner and pretty. You know what I mean? Whether or not the relationships even lasted, not the point. It just was one of those things where they favored those girls. They had no problem walking around with those girls and claiming those girls. But when it came down to it, I was the type of girl that I guess you couldn't take out in public. Like I said, I had my redemption moment when I lost all the weight, and then like guys from high school would see me and be like, dang, and this and that, but I didn't have time for it because I was the kind of kid that actually paid attention in school. So I knew, that they were just, after whatever I look like, and they weren't really seriously trying to date me or anything, and I was going to save myself for someone who would care about me and not just want to smash.
However, on the other end, for the ones who weren't conventionally attractive, or the ones who weren't privileged enough to have like, the cute clothes or have their hair done or whatever it was, those would be the ones who would get in trouble quicker. Those would be the ones who would get screamed at, hollered at, snatched up, put out of class. One of my teachers in elementary school actually put me at the front of the class because something had happened where the kids wanted to blame something on me. And there were other kids involved in what was it was actually the majority of the class who had, done something that the teacher was upset about. But she put me at the front of the class and allowed the kids to talk about me. Like they were literally making jokes, saying things about me, laughing it up. And she was just sitting there giggling. Like me going around certain family members, knowing that at some point somebody gonna point out my weight or my hair or my complexion or me looking like a boy or dressing like a boy. But on the other hand, looking at my cousin or my sister or whoever and talking about how pretty she is and how pretty her shape is and how she know how to wear certain things. Oh, you keep your hair this way. You do this so well and whatever.
Yeah, that's not exactly cool. I guess maybe because I grew up with only a brother and not a sister, maybe I was blessed and fortunate enough not to be compared to anyone. Yeah, that's definitely not cool to have family members point out the fact that you're heavier or more darker in complexion or something like that. To me, again, I definitely don't agree with people being treated or assumed to be less attractive based on skin color. I personally don't get that because I see people that are dark skinned who are very attractive and I see people who are light skinned who aren't. Like white cultures don't usually have to deal with that type of stuff. Like usually in the white culture, if you have a tan, you're considered more attractive. But in the black community, if you're darker, you're considered less attractive. Isn't that weird? I think that that's pretty unfair for her family to have done that. And I definitely don't think you should be comparing kids to other kids. If you have something nice to say about one kid, you should find something nice to say about all the kids. Like when it comes to my children, for instance, I compliment my children all the time. I tell them they're beautiful and I love them equally. You know what I mean? And I never make it seem like I care about more than one versus the other, because now I have two and I have a third one on the way. So I have to be conscious and I have to be aware of how I am treating them. I can't keep doubting over my daughter and telling her how pretty she is without telling my son he's handsome and he's a good baby and stuff like that too. So, or vice versa. Like I'm not gonna give one kid something and not the other because I wasn't raised like that. My parents never made it seem like they loved me more or my brother more. They definitely gave us both love and adoration. So I'm trying to be that type of parent too. And so I'm sorry that that happened to her, but I mean, it's an unfortunate reality and it does happen, but that's why I'm making videos like this. So other people, if you're a parent or you plan to become a parent, you can be aware of these type of things because it can really psychologically affect someone even later on in life.
But just making the others feel good as it pertains to how they looked and then making a joke out of how I looked. That's a thing. That is what people mean by pretty privilege. Even not having to, obviously not having to pay for drinks, being able to get in certain places, being able to receive certain kind of opportunities because of how you look. Now, how you wear your clothes and how you carry yourself, that can bring a certain kind of attention too, because you know what I'm saying? Like if you walking around with confidence and you feel like you the greatest looking thing, the greatest gift to mankind, like you'll get treated a certain way even then. But looking right at your aesthetics, like directly at how you look biologically, like without the clothes, without the hair, just you being pretty in general, like it is a such thing as you receiving something that the next person won't get because that person doesn't look as good as you.
I can definitely agree with that. I mean, we can just take a look at like our entertainment industry, for instance, and we can look at the super rich and the super famous. They tend to be very attractive people. Not always, but for the most part, they do. And so it's like one of those things where you get picked. You get picked easier. You get picked first and foremost and more often than people that may not be. And if you're not super attractive, you have to have something special about you, or you have to have a talent or something else that you offer. But sometimes a pretty face can just get you pretty far. And so, yeah, that's all I have to say about it. I mean, there's really no argument here. She definitely spoke the truth. It's nice to hear other types of people say things. You know, like I said, I started this off saying that she was conventionally unattractive, and like I'm not trying to be offensive or anything. Most people would look at somebody who is morbidly obese the way she is, and it would be hard to see the beauty in that. If she maybe lost 100, 150 pounds, maybe even 200, I don't know how big she truly is. It's hard to tell in a car. If she lost about that much weight, maybe her life would be different. She may not have the same issues that she's experiencing now. As far as other things go, aesthetics, her skin color, her hair, whatever, you can dial that up as much as you want. You can put makeup on, you can change your hair. You don't have to necessarily be unattractive. But when it comes to weight, that's something that you can personally change too. And that's something that's just within human beings, within biology. You have to be a person that's slimmer in order to be considered attractive. So, you know, I hate to say it, but that's just what it is. And if you guys agree or disagree, leave me a comment. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't already. Check out some of my other videos. Like I said, there will be one linked in the description. Leave me that blue heart, and I will see you all next time.